Okay, guys, we're back. We're doing part 2 of the Aaliyah spiritual reading. Seeing, is there anything else that you want us to know in regards to what happens in the second part of your career, your life after you left R. Kelly before you unfortunately passed away, Aaliyah? Thank you so very much for joining us and answering all these questions. We do so appreciate it. You are still so beloved, and your mark on this world will never be ignored. She's saying the second half was the best half. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so after she left him and then started working with, like, Missy Elliott, Timbaland, we saw like this whole new style to her music. She came out, in the movies and everything. She's talking about that she felt like she was on top of the world. With this Knight of Cups, she was surrounded by love. She was accomplishing her biggest dreams. She felt like whatever she went through with this magician, she completely changed that energy around for herself. And she did see it as, people always say if you go through something bad, you'll be blessed in return. And to her, just this sudden explosion of people wanting to work with her having all these opportunities, she started making all these friends and connections outside of all of that. And she really felt like she was embracing herself as a young woman, that she was finding herself, that she was finding her happiness, and it was a really good time for her. She was so busy and making a lot of money with this Nine of Wands and this Ace of Pentacles. And, she did have this King of Cups dame who was around loving her, It's also talking about the fact that she had no problems with, it's like whatever she went through with, having to move on from Rob. After that, she had no problem if there was somebody in her life who wasn't making her happy, who was being toxic, who wasn't being a good friend or whatever. She had no problem walking away from it and deading it after that. It's like, look what I went through. I'm not letting nobody ever come in and do that kind of shit to me again. So when she's talking about earlier in the first part of the reading that she would have, her and Dame wouldn't have ended up working out, but she keeps talking about she's okay with it. That's that, because she's like, I was good with me. I didn't need somebody else. So even if, like we would have gotten to that stage and then it came out, I would have had no problem walking away from him and finding somebody else, because it's like that situation, if it taught her anything, there's always something better. There's always better people. You get rid of the wrong and you bring in the good. Unfortunately, the truth of that situation was that he was stepping out on her, which she was aware of. She was going to confront it when she returned. And she was expecting that there was going to be an end to their relationship because of it. But she was okay and she was prepared for it, because with this Wheel of Fortune and the Six of Pentacles, she saw it as, again, every door that closes, there's always something else that's going to come along. And so it's like, if it turned out that, yeah, you were hooking up with somebody else and I had to walk away, like, I would have been okay. There would have been somebody else. And if you weren't, then cool. We could have kept moving forwards. But with this Tower, everything was over and she didn't get that chance. And it's talking about there's a lot of unanswered things, a lot of things that she didn't get to settle. She honestly thought that at some point in her life, she was going to come back around and be vindicated for what Rob did to her. Not in the sense of like, oh, now I found my personal happiness and my personal success, but in the sense of if he was still doing those things and he didn't learn from it, I would have spoken up. Like, when everything happened with Sparkle's niece coming out, if Aaliyah had been alive, she said she would have stood up and said, okay, listen, I'm going to talk about what happened to me now. Because she would not have been able to live with the idea that other people were being as victimized as she had been. And it's like, she really did for a long time tell herself, like, it must have just been between her and him. It was a one-off situation. She's saying now she realizes that's what she had to tell herself so that she could cope. Because she knew that as horrible as she felt, if she had any idea that other people were being made to feel that way too, like, she would never have been able to live with herself. But she also didn't feel, looking back, who would have listened to her. Like, she was a little black girl, you know, like, that's how she's saying. Like, they would have looked at me like, you're a little black girl, you were being fast, and nobody would have listened to me anyways. And it would have been too late. She's like, but at least if I would have spoke up, my voice could have lent some power and credibility to helping to make him stop at that point. Or at least making people aware. So even if the law didn't do anything, people would have just automatically known, keep your kids away from him. And we wouldn't be here all over again with even more victims. So she does feel like, you know, there was a lot of things that were taken away from her. The opportunity to get married and have a family. The opportunity to have, you know, the exactly 100% movie career that she thought she was going to. A lot of these things were stolen from her. Her being able to be this, like, vigilante for justice, you know, if needed. And that's the things that she says actually that bothers her more than the other things that she wasn't able to do. You know, not being able to stand up and stop him, like, was the biggest regret for her. Okay, Spirit, please tell us anything else that Aaliyah would like us to know. Let's see. Aaliyah, we are going to respectfully ask, and if you decline to answer, we will completely understand. Were you pregnant by Rob and that's why he married you? Just give us yes or no. Were you pregnant by R. Kelly and that is why he married you? She was, but it wasn't very far along and she did lose it. She's saying that they were trying to figure out what they were going to do about that situation. You know, he tried to marry her trying to escape getting in trouble if it came out that he was the person responsible for that. And she is talking about people around her, meaning her management team, her family, were discussing options. Like, do we have you go in hiding and have this baby and somebody else raises it? You know, do we make you get an abortion? She says that was something that she was adamant that she did not want to do. And it's talking about waking up in the middle of the night crying, and there's just, it was over. And she said they never had to actually do anything about it because it wasn't meant to be. Aaliyah, were you pregnant by Dame Dash when you passed away? Aaliyah, were you pregnant by Dame Dash when you passed? Were you pregnant for Dame Dash? Or no? No. She was working on her career, you guys. it's something that they talked about, but she's saying like they weren't even together long enough that she would have wanted to get pregnant by somebody that quickly. It's like if it happened and it was a surprise, like we would have been happy and we would have done what we needed to do. But it was something that we talked about happening a few years down the road. Because she's saying, remember how young I was? And I had a lot of things that I was in the middle of. And it's like she's laughing like, you guys, I was about to film The Matrix. I was doing all these action movies. Like, how could I have been pregnant and did that? Because there was actually like 3 more action movies that she was signed up for that she was supposed to be filming when, like, or over the next like year and a half before she passed. So she didn't, it wasn't, you know, she wasn't pregnant. It was just something that they had discussed doing, you know, later on down the road. So, because I keep hearing it was only that one time, meaning when she was very young and pregnant. Also, she's talking about that she always worried that getting pregnant and losing the pregnancy so young and the things that he did to her would make it hard for her to get pregnant or carry a pregnancy in the future. Because she's saying that the things that people don't understand is he did a lot of really rough, awful things that a little girl's body can't handle, is the way that she is saying it. And she says, I was a little girl and I had a little girl's body. Okay. Aaliyah, are you at peace, and how did you feel when you first crossed over? She says, obviously, she's not going to come back until everybody has crossed over and they can have some conversations about some things and clear the air, because she doesn't want either her or anybody else's spirits to come back into another lifetime without clearing things for their soul purposes. So see here, she's this Queen of Cups with this 3 of Wands, that she is waiting for the people that she loved and was connected to in this lifetime to return so that they can reconnect. The spirit of her baby was with her for a while, but they've come to Earth, actually. Like, for her, it was just like, you didn't need me, like, to do what you were supposed to. And it was a little boy, and he's actually going to be an entertainer himself. And so, like, she's talking about, like, you just picked the 2 parents that were, like, the entertainers to come through because you wanted to absorb our genes and our talent. And it's like, but you already, that's in your spirit, so you didn't have to wait for me to come back. And so it's like, if I'm going to be here for a while, baby, go do what you need to go do. It's like such a mom thing to say. Oh my God. You guys, it's so hard not to cry right now when she's talking about her baby like that. Okay. But she's with him. She's with him. So whoever this little boy is that was supposed to be her son is on this earth, and she's watching over him. And he is part of her core soul family. But you don't always have to incarnate with your core soul family if you have things that you're supposed to be achieving in your lifetime, you know? Okay, so she's at peace now, but she did not want to leave, you guys. It was just like with the 7 of Cups, the 5 of Cups, and this 10 of Swords, you know, obviously she didn't know the whole story getting on that plane, that you can't pack that many people on a plane. The, you know, pilot was supposedly like not like licensed or had drugs in his system or any of that kind of stuff, and obviously it ended badly for her. But it's like I was just in this such a great place in my life. Like everything was starting to take off. I was finally starting to be happy with myself. I'd started working on myself, forgiving myself. I was in a good place. Things were coming together for me. And I had to leave right when it started to finally get good. But she's also talking about that what felt like it was starting to get good wasn't exactly 100%, you know, like because of this King of Cups and 5 of Wands, the Palace of Wands energy. Like there was stuff that obviously like wasn't perfect, that she was gonna have to end and everything, but overall things were starting to really get so much better when she had to walk away from this life. But she's also saying that she's come to peace with it because she understands that everybody has their time, but she just wishes like that she'd even been given like 10 more years just to do a little bit more, you know. It's like I could still go early, but just if you would give me 10 more years, like. But she's also saying that's wishful thinking and that she understands that she will come back. And she said she is determined that she's going to live a very long life next time. She is going to be an entertainer again, but she's going to do things on her own terms, just when the time is right. So she's like, don't count your girl out yet. She's not gone for good. But I think that we can go ahead and end it there. This was very emotional. Thank you guys so much for watching, for tuning in, for subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing. Please continue to do so. Aaliyah, thank you so much for blessing us with your energy and your presence today, for answering any of these questions. We love you so much. You are gone, but will never be forgotten. And with that said, guys, I will see you again soon, and I hope you are all having a blessed week. Okay, bye.